Beef.
Jason said he had a beef.
My biggest beefs have already been talked about on the show. So, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but when it comes to people reading, nobody reads anymore. And I know we've had the discussion about books and stuff like that, but the thing that I've always been perturbed by,
I got that.
I didn't finish Michael's series of, printed volumes of the Reef Fish's books. I mean, those are books that I go to constantly, whether it's for actual fish information or just to look at a fish to see what I'm going to do for a cookie cutter or paint it. But, I'm disappointed that those volumes never got printed and finished.
So we should beat him up.
Well, I mean, what I have heard is the volumes are done, but the publishers just don't see any value in printing those books because they're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
Which, even if they're an ebook to where you can go online or download a file and look at it, and not do a print volume, but those series are invaluable because it gives not only information about each species in the wild, it's got aquarium care, as part of each species. So you kind of understand what, it'll do inside a tank with certain, other inhabitants or, the size of the tank. But, it's just a shame that we didn't get all of them.
I have every single one of his books. And the funny thing is in the very, very early 2000s. So he's got that smaller one, the pocket book.
We're talking about Scott Michael's books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who left us and went to become a grizzly bear photographer for a while.
Did he really?
I think now he's doing tank maintenance again. He is a great dude. But I'm sorry, go on, talk. I just want to make sure.
No, it's okay. But even in a real, when I worked at a store in a retail thing, the second I'd meet a new person to come into the thing, I would take them to that book. And if I remember at the time, it was like $30, $35, and I would tell them, get this book because, if you get to know me and you come in here all the time asking me for advice, if I'm not here, you go in another store. I was trying to tell people, just reference that book, and that was, so, 2000, 2001, 2002. Obviously there was an internet, but it was not the place that it is now. And, it's funny because nowadays just open up Google and Google the fish. But back then I just said, just take this book with you and you see, oh my God, I love that little red fish, let me look it up, and then, to decide whether to get it or not. But of course, one person out of 20 would actually buy it.
Well, the thing that I really like about books, I mean, I think my library is up over 120 reef related books right now, and I've got more coming. But when you're in a book, you can go to a page and something's going to catch your attention that you weren't looking for. Whereas when you go online and you type in a Google search, that's exactly what you're going to get back for, the hits that you're going to click on. But you'll never find something that might pique your interest even more than what you were looking for.
I don't know. When I do these searches and I get pictures of naked people, that pretty much piques my interest.
Yeah.
I also find that when you do the search, you just don't get the information. It's hard to get the info that's in Scott Michael's books, and also the idea that book was made and is vetted and is published and was edited gives you some kind of a feeling that the information is worth reading.
Yep.
Whereas now, if you get some weird vendor, that says copper band butterflies are easy to keep and you can feed them flake food. If that's as far as you go.
Yeah,
Nice.
Sometimes the top listings when you do Google some, it's info from the people selling it. Even though I have to say, like Live Aquaria has always been a good, they have good photos and good information. If I do Google, Flame Hawk, you know, and Live Aquarium is going to be one of the first entries, and they're always pretty trustworthy.
They changed ownership.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to squint a little more at them. They were
be
my
sure.
go-to for a
Yeah.
while, but now I don't quite know what's going on there, so I'm not sure what to do.
Actually, that's probably my biggest beef.
Is that
That Live Aquaria has changed.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
We saw Kevin Cohen. I saw Kevin at the Aquatic Expo,
yeah.
and a bunch of us were around him. And the whole weekend, we kept blaming him for ruining the hobby.
No. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's just with the facility being as close as it is for me, you know, for us to go over there. I mean, it wasn't just going into the open house, buying a bunch of corals or fish and leaving. You know, there were times where we showed up the day before and went out to eat, you know, and then spent the night at a hotel, and then we went to the facility, you know, or you know, Kevin even invited us out to his house, you know, for dinner. A few of us got to go see that peppermint angelfish that was brought in a few years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, those are really great perks, but I mean, that those people at that facility, I mean, they were family. You know, I would walk in and people would know exactly who I was. They knew my kids' names, you know, so, you know, it wasn't just a big store that you just walked into and you were ignored. So,
Yeah, I'm now very sad that I never made the trek out there for the heyday. But maybe it'll have a new heyday.
maybe.
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 Okay, so that's two beefs. Oh, why aren't people reading books, Jason? And can we do anything about it?
Well, I mean, to me, it's people just want to sit on their computer and their tablet and just click through stuff really quick. And, you know, as books are being published, is the information that's being put in a book already being outdated by the technology that's, you know, coming around the corner? I mean, I'm an old guy. I like books. I like magazines. I like holding something in my hand. So, yeah, I don't understand.
Cuneiform? Do you like stone tablets?
He's got a stele in front of his house with instructions about how to take care of his tanks.
He's got Hammurabi's code.
I don't print anything out from my computer. I use my laser engraver and engrave it onto stone and slate.
Oh, go watch Blade Runner on Laserdisc.
I've watched plenty of stuff on Laserdisc.
It's bad for your eyes, I hear. You need to put Cipro in your eyes after you watch a Laserdisc. I think that's one of the really interesting parts of the hobby, and I'm interested to see where it's going to go, because, you know, like I said, with a book, the information is vetted, but more than that, there are always citations in those books of where the information came from. So there was some process in it that made that information weighty. And without that, you know, everything has got the same weight as everything else. And I'm not quite sure what to do with that.
Wouldn't that be super weird if we come full circle one day and just books are the rage again?
It could easily happen.
Or instead we would have hologram discs.
Yeah, or, you know, I would, you know, I like the paper book as well, but I could do with a PDF of the book. I mean, I was looking at Noga today, you know, the disease guy. I was looking through his book today. Literally, I did a search, and we were talking about Brooke, so I wanted to see if there's anything new about Brooke. And immediately the search results, it was like, there's no way for me to vet any of this or look at any of this. So I pulled up my PDF of Noga and flipped through it and found out, you know, what Noga said. But yeah, I don't know, man. And I know, you know, when you were talking about flipping through the book, when I got back into the hobby after I took a break, I got back into like 2000 or something. And then the Reef Aquarium books existed then when I got back in, and I was like, give me, and, you know, read it. I still got my original copy and, you know, went through with a highlighter like it's a textbook, and, you know, this is what they say about this, and this is, and that's what built, you know, rebuilt my foundation of understanding of how these things work. And without that now, you know, I see a lot of people trying to help each other, but they give recipes, and it's a very strange way to learn to me. And videos, I think, are even worse, because you have to watch the whole thing, and that's hard. And there's often no citations, and there's often a lot of, and they're often made by people who are selling you something. So I don't know. I don't. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
where
but
it might be going?
Isn't that funny? Because we've obviously taken a step forward on technology and accessibility, but taken several steps backwards with vetted information and solid information. That just seems really weird, because the beginner would, you know, looks at this and, oh wow, you can find all this information. But you know, from my standpoint, I can't speak for y'all, but I'm pretty sure you agree. It's just like the information is just muddier.
Well, people are looking for confirmation bias versus information.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I ventured onto
Right,
a forum.
I'm done. Mic drop.
Boom. Somebody was asking about what to do with algae, and I said something like, well, it looks like it's on one rock, so why don't you, I would just cover it with epoxy, you know, 2-part epoxy, and call it a day. And they said, nope, not going to do that. And it was like, okay. I mean, yeah, so exactly right. They had already decided what they wanted to do, and they wanted people to tell them that that's what they should do. It's really, really fascinating. Someone's going to come up with a way to do it. You know, we might as well call this episode Old Men's Yell at Cloud, but I think we've already done that.
That could pretty much be all our episodes.
That's all our episodes. We could change the name of the podcast. Oh, I don't have my beard anymore. I can't stroke it. Mwah. See, I gotta look clean for a gig. But someone's going to figure it out, I think, or I hope. I just don't know. I just don't have any clue. You know, maybe someone will come together and do an app, but all of that takes such crazy resources where, you know, a person sitting alone can write their book and have a friend read it and edit it, Randy Donowitz, and then get it published, or even as a vanity project. But you have to be an expert editor. You know, there's all this stuff you need to be able to do to create content online that has nothing to do with the animals. You know,
and
Scott, go, baby.
It doesn't even matter if the audience isn't asking for it.
Right. But I mean, you know, Scott Michael's books were great because he took good pictures and he had a lot of experience, right? So he just, you know, the smaller book, what's it called? Marine Fishes? Yeah, there it is. Marine Fishes. It's the thin one. It's a great book. It's got a couple pictures of the fish, tells you its habitat, tells you what it eats, tells you kind of how to keep it. Boom, this is the snapshot you want. And that's what Live Aquarium was doing for a while. But getting that, you can write that alone. You know, Scott wasn't writing, you know, the great novel or anything like that. It was just, here's the information. And it feels like now you've really got to be expert in many technological like speaking fields to be able to make it. But I hope someone figures it out. If beefers, if you have an idea of what to do, let us know, because that would be a worthy project if we could figure out what to do.